Hey, can you find a water bottle for me?
Something so simple.
Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Tuesday, June the 12th. Well, the world is our oyster today. The dictator and the dotard met in Singapore yesterday, and Donald Trump proclaimed afterward that this could be the start of a beautiful friendship with a country that has been one of our biggest enemies. Perhaps he's right. The reaction tended to split on tribal lines. People like Trump thought he did great. People who don't thought he didn't. Veteran observers of foreign affairs say the U.S. didn't get much from this meeting, and the leader of North Korea got a lot, but perhaps it will start a movement toward a better relationship in that part of the world. More interesting on the international affairs front is the reporting by the McClatchy newspapers about contacts between Russian millionaires and the NRA in the run-up to the 2016 election. It becomes more and more evident that Russians were working with the NRA to help elect Donald Trump. This is interesting. In other foreign relations affairs, you know, Donald Trump has more or less declared war on our old friends in Canada in the trade category. Not has much good to say about France or Germany either, but he's cozied up to Russia. So Trump is friends with North Korea and Russia, not so much with Canada and France. His people seem to be happy with that pretty remarkable change of events. Back home closer to Arkansas, leaders of the Arkansas State Senate announced that they're going to have a news conference Thursday in which they're going to talk about some new ethics rules for the state Senate. Well, too little, too late, given the number of scandals that erupted in the last couple of weeks, including over allegations of bribery paid to a member of the state Senate. He says it was just legal fees. Perhaps it wasn't, but it was. The law needs to be changed. His cousin, Jim Hendren, leader of the Senate, says it's time to do something about lifting public confidence in the body, and there's no doubt about that. What we need are some law changes, a number of which were voted down by the Republican-controlled legislation in the last session. 3 members of the Arkansas legislature, all Republicans, it should be noted, thinks that Jeremy Hutchinson ought to resign based on the allegations that came out of the Rusty Cranford guilty plea in his bribery case. Hutchinson hasn't been charged, but he's in the position of taking a lot of money for special interests for doing the work of those special interests, one of which is a $40 million a year beneficiary of state Medicaid money. Well, Bill Sample of Hot Springs thinks that it would help things if Jeremy would quit, but he said one thing that I thought was interesting. He said, 99% of the Arkansas legislature is honest. Well, we've had at least 5 members of the Arkansas legislature plead guilty or convicted of felony federal crimes. We've got others accused of being on the take from special interest money, perhaps legal, but certainly smelly. I think that 99% estimate might be just a little bit high. By the way, Jeremy Hutchinson's lawyer, in defending his legal work for Preferred Family Health Services, the mental health provider that has gotten so much money in Medicaid money with the help of Arkansas legislators, he said this was all legal work. He said among the work he did was lawsuits representing the company that paid him $1 million. Well, or excuse me, $500,000. We checked the state online court record systems today and the federal district court systems for both halves of Arkansas. Can't find a case for preferred family health care in which Jeremy Hutchinson was listed as attorney. Perhaps the other work was behind the scenes. The Little Rock City Board of Directors has an agenda meeting today, and they're going to take up, at least put on the agenda for action in a week or so, Irma Hendricks' idea to end at-large election of city directors. We have 7 elected from wards, 3 at-large. The at-large seats tend to be controlled by money interests because they're expensive citywide races. Don't think she'll pass this, but it could start a discussion that could lead to a city initiative, which is something we need. We need mayor council government in Little Rock, no doubt about it. The Arkansas Press Association is pushing an Arkansas Legislative Committee meeting today and again Friday to rebel against a recommendation from the State Education Department on new curriculum standards for high schools. They want to continue to keep journalism as a required elective at all high schools. Say journalism is an important thing to teach to people. Well, the journalism industry is kind of suffering these days. I kind of think we do need to teach journalism in our high schools. We also need to teach physics, to name another course that's been left off the list. The state's providing so much flexibility at Arkansas high schools, I'm afraid that some of the small districts won't be left teaching very much. But these days it's all about coding. It's not necessarily about world history, physics, advanced math, and journalism. Well, yesterday at the state capitol police arrested 5 people, one of them an Episcopalian priest, for trying, get this, to enter the state capitol and make a demonstration about working for justice for poor people. This is the 3rd arrest by state capitol police of the Poor People's Campaign. They were arrested once in the Justice Department, once before at the Capitol. They're told to keep their protest outside. They're not allowed to enter the building. They were charged with trespassing. Yes, during office hours, certain people can enter the state Capitol, and apparently certain people with the wrong outlooks cannot. They were charged with disorderly conduct. They wanted to exercise free speech and petition government. That's disorderly these days. And finally, they were charged with obstructing governmental operations. Well, lobbyists came and went in the building. Others came and went in the building. No operations seemed to have been obstructed. The Capitol Police just seem to be bothered by people that take a different view than that of their boss, Republican Secretary of State Mark Martin. Perhaps there'll be justice for these righteous people in court someday when their cases come to trial. Also yesterday, Circuit Judge Wendell Griffen's lawyers filed a motion with the State Judicial Discipline Committee to dismiss ethics charges against him. They say that those charges amount to an abrogation of his First Amendment rights to freedom of religion and speech. I think they're right about it. I still wish he'd keep his mouth shut about some of his political ideas so as not to lend reason to people not to believe in the judiciary, but I just don't think he can be punished for free speech. The U.S. Supreme Court has said as much in past cases. We shall see where that ends up. I'm Max Brantley. As you see, still a lot to resist. I'll be back tomorrow.